Good.
you?
Good to
How are
see you.
you?
I'm good. Good. Okay, it's so good to have you here.
You too.
So this is Brigitte Cook. She is helping postpartum moms today with some great tips and some holistic strategies. So I'm really excited because I haven't heard all this stuff before. So a lot of this is new for me too. I'm going to be learning along with everyone. So just so everyone can get to know you, Brigitte. Oh, hey, I see Bubby down there.
Yes, Ambrose is here, so I apologize if he
No,
interrupts a little.
I mean, everybody's mom's here, so welcome Ambrose as well. He's loving it, all the attention.
Yes. Okay, buddy. So yeah.
This is great.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction.
So you obviously have a baby.
Yes,
What else do
yes.
we know about you, Gina?
Yeah, I'm a Catholic mom. I have this one little one so far. He's almost a year. And I'm really passionate about our faith. I'm a convert. I will be, in spring, it'll be 5 years that I'm Catholic.
Wow, congratulations.
And thank you. Yeah, it's crazy. It flies. And I enjoy helping moms like with natural health and healing and energy, just getting their energy back, like during pregnancy, postpartum, since we're all like so drained, as you share how important it is for rest and energy. And I'll share about that later, like about herbal activation and how that helps for moms postpartum too.
Super interesting. How did you like have this passion? Like, where did that start for you?
Really, I mean, I've always been into like fitness and like staying active. But like my natural health journey actually started with a friend sharing about like the toxins in our beauty products.
Super cool.
You're okay. I know.
So, okay, Amber just wants to join us.
You're good? Are you good? Yeah, so kind of a funny way to start, but then a friend had shared with me like about
I think that's great.
Yeah. You never know where your journey's gonna start, right?
Exactly, and I feel like it really is all about sharing information, because if you're someone who hasn't heard of this before and you find out you're pregnant or you just have a baby, where do you start? There's no handbook. So it's, you might be here today listening to us, or someone might be friends with you and, see something you post or something that I post. And yeah, that's basically how we educate ourselves, by sharing information.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I wanted to share, like, I'm just a mom, but like I did a lot of research. I'll have a lot of other like Catholic mom friends that have like 5 to 7 kids. So I asked them for their resources on pregnancy, postpartum tips. And then my midwife was really awesome, like super holistic and natural. So she also pointed me towards like all the studies, like evidence-based birth, and lots of good books and resources too. So I'm just happy to be able to like share it with other moms and spread on the knowledge.
I love that. I love how passionate you are, and I love the wealth of knowledge that you've accumulated, like just from talking to people and researching, and basically your passion has just carried you so far, and now you have this huge wealth that is super helpful to everybody else.
Thanks. So yeah, we're talking obviously about like postpartum tips. So there's just a few areas that I want to share about. Nourishment.
Yeah, where would you start? Where's your baseline for, I mean, we're talking to new moms, we're talking to pregnant moms. So what is like your go-to straight off? How do we talk about preparing our bodies postpartum?
Yeah, so I was going to say definitely nourishment during pregnancy and postpartum. So I'd read in one of the books that it's really good to like warm the womb. So lots of like healing, like bone broth, lots of good soups and protein. I'm sure a lot of people know this stuff already, but even if like...
No, it's great to hear.
Yeah. Even if you're trying to meal prep, like my husband and I did a lot of soups because they're easy to freeze. So then postpartum, like thawing a soup and eating it is better. Especially if it's packed with protein. And it's funny, my midwife had said like, a soup is good because you have one hand and you can still nourish your body when you're healing postpartum and nursing. And I was like, I don't get that. That's weird. But then, you see, like you got your hands full, so it's good to be able to.
No, that's such a great point.
Yeah, it seems.
Do you have any soups that were like your go-tos postpartum?
I really did like just a basic like chicken bone broth that I'd made. I'd use my crock pot and did like lots of good like herbs and spices, and then the bone broth is really nourishing. So.
And you mentioned like lots of protein. So are all your soups like meat-based most of the time then?
Yeah, most of mine are. But obviously even like for breakfast. Like I've always done a lot of eggs for protein is really good too. If it's sometimes, yeah, even if you make soups without protein, it's still good to add in like chicken or eggs or meats or other stuff on the side. Hey.
Super cool to know. So that's a really important one. So nourishment, keeping your uterus warm is going to help you heal. And basically your go-to for doing that is making soups and meal prepping and drinking bone broth, which I think is great because it's practical, it's easy, and it's giving you what you need.
And even like snacks, like, you know, if you're nursing, your body's still using like a lot of calories and nutrients. So I had like a lot of, like in the middle of the night when the baby's first born, like I kept good snacks by the bed. Like even like I said, I do love like for snacks at night, like protein. So a friend had made venison strips. So like they were like really good, like no fillers, nothing, like just the meat.
Okay.
So I use that. I know not everyone can get that, but like stuff like that, like good quality like snacks that don't have, you know, lots of sugar or filler or carbs is really good too, like in the middle of the night when you can't.
Yeah, so are you one of those moms that like you keep your stash next to your nursing station?
I did in the beginning, like when he was first born. Yeah, I was definitely ravenous. I could feel that my body was depleted. Like I was burning all these calories, and it was hard to like keep up with it and take it in.
Right, because you're burning a lot of calories when you're breastfeeding. I think that's something that a lot of moms get surprised postpartum. They don't realize it's kind of like a workout, and you're just like burning so much when you're breastfeeding.
Yeah.
So knowing that you need to be stocking up and actually like eating a lot more. I know a lot of people get caught up in weight loss postpartum, but it's at a time when you're actually supposed to be replenishing what you've lost and what you're losing. So I think that's a really great point to make sure that you're constantly snacking because your body actually needs it. It's not that, you know, the weight loss is not your first concern when you've just had a baby.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's true. The one last thing I want to share about nourishment, just a book that I liked was it's called Mama Natural by Genevieve Hallen. She also has a good Instagram too, but she shared a lot of good nutrition for like pregnancy and postpartum and just good meals and stuff throughout like your whole pregnancy, explaining like each stage, like what your body needs. So that's a really good book if you just like info along the way, and then she even has like various like remedies, like various herbal teas. So
I love that.
Wanting, like, a book to look at.
Is she pretty like well-rounded then with giving moms postpartum kind of just somewhere to start?
Yeah, she does have good like food ideas for pregnancy and postpartum.
That's awesome. And actually, you mentioned teas as well. So I'm wondering, do you have, because that's also very nourishing and warm, and herbs are very good for healing postpartum as well. So are there like go-to teas that you recommend for nourishment and healing?
So I did more just during like the pregnancy and the end of for labor. I had done the raspberry leaf tea, which there's anecdotal evidence that it can help shorten labor. It's not proven, but it's definitely like, you know, all herbs can help and have various okay, but but in terms of postpartum, I think no, red
raspberry leaf tea. I mean, I hear that a lot from like naturopaths, everyone. So I think that's definitely a go-to if you're heading towards your labor and even just recovering, because it's very good for overall hormonal health.
Yeah, that was definitely a go-to for me. Okay, bud.
I like how vocal he is this morning. He really wants to get in on the action. But he's good. I can still hear you fine. So, I mean, if any of our followers are having trouble hearing us, please let us know. But I think we're good. And so then when you're dealing with, you know, your body postpartum and you're nourishing and you talk about, you know, healing physically, does that also come into like the mental space? Do you find that you need to mentally heal and emotionally heal? Obviously, a lot of moms deal with postpartum depression and anxiety, and I think these go hand in hand with the physical side. So is that something that you want to touch on?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, obviously, like, we're both Catholics, so for us too, like, the whole mental side comes into, like, prayer and our faith.
Right.
So I definitely, like, it's hard, like, when you first have a baby, you feel like, I've heard a lot of women say this, they feel, like, less holy because they feel like they've lost some of their, like, devotion, or they can't go to adoration as much, or they can't go to, like, mass anymore. But I'd read a profound quote on this that was saying, like, at times, as a mom, like, you have to like leave your devotion at the altar but find it at home and be like, you know, living your vocation as like a wife and mother. So I thought that was like just very telling of like this stage of life that we're in as wives and mothers. So definitely if you're feeling like, oh, like I'm feel a little more anxious. Like I'm not, my spiritual readings or my prayers like aren't where they always were. Like I also remember like St. Paul saying like mental prayer is like still like so good to like be like praying throughout the day and like conversing with God, even if you can't get back into your like routine yet. That really helped me definitely like in labor and postpartum, like mentally, was prayer. And then obviously, like you said, I didn't struggle personally with postpartum depression, but many women do. So like I can't really imagine like how difficult it is, but just like having that support to you, like your loved ones, your family, your friends, like is so important. Like it's just asking for like help when you need it is probably the toughest thing, right? Like we don't want to admit when we need that help. So definitely like reaching out for support with loved ones, because I felt the crazy hormones. I didn't like, I wasn't in that like dark place that people get to, but just like I noticed like your hormones just totally ghost you postpartum, and you can feel that difference. Like I was like, whoa, like I feel this is crazy. Like you just get very, very emotional.
I think that's such a good point. It's like you feel so vulnerable asking for help, and you know, I think a lot of moms were looking at other Instagram, you know, profiles and other people, and we're like, wow, like everybody's doing such a great job. So if you're in a dark place, you feel like you're the only person, and you can't admit that you're struggling. But just so everyone knows, it's a very common place to be. And as you just said, Brigitte, the hormones are literally to blame for a lot of this. So it's not like you're doing something wrong, or you know, it's not like you can control it in that way. So just reaching out and letting people know how you are and asking for that help is really important. And yeah, I think mental prayer is such a great one. Keeping your prayers short so that you don't feel like you're constantly getting interrupted. Maybe it's just saying like a decade of the rosary, not saying all of them. Keeping your expectations much lower instead of beating yourself up that you can't have the same kind of prayer life and, you know, meditations and stuff that you had before you had a baby, because things have changed a lot.
Yeah, well, obviously you can work up to it too, or you know, some women don't struggle with this, like if they have like it's so set in their day. But like I personally am always working on fixing my schedule, so yeah, I had to like build like my spiritual readings and my prayers like back in. So definitely, like you said, give yourself grace and like, you know, work back towards it too.
No, absolutely. I think it's such a great point. And talking about, you know, wanting to be the person that you wanted to be before you had a baby, I think this is such a big struggle for a lot of women. It's like you look back at these goals that you achieved when you were pregnant or before you were pregnant, and you start beating yourself up that you're not achieving those same things. But you have a newborn, you have a baby, you have to give yourself grace. But I think a lot of this is, I mentioned the weight loss, you know, and you mentioned people in their anxiety and stuff. And I think a lot of that comes into like fitness and feeling like you can kind of be the human being that you were. And I don't know if you've like want to delve into that a little bit with fitness and movement and how you can achieve some of those things in a healthy way postpartum.
Yeah. Because I don't know everyone's into like fitness, but I am like I worked out like all through to the end of pregnancy actually.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah, so it's hard though, because you don't want to jump back into like crazy exercise right when you have a baby. It can harm your pelvic floor or your core. You have to like take it slow, obviously, like we're saying, like rest, like listen to your body. So I tried to, you know, not really do stairs in the beginning, and try to like rest more, like be in bed like with your feet up the first few days if you can. I know if you have multiples already, like that can be tough, but just trying to like really take it slow and not do like strenuous exercise like right in the beginning in the first 2 weeks. And obviously there's all different standards of like how long you should wait before you like really get into strenuous or, you know, hikes or big exercise. But I actually waited 3 months, which was a little longer, because I just felt I needed that more that time. And I did like slower stuff. I did stretching. I did like little exercises to help strengthen my core and my pelvic floor. And then, yeah, like reconnecting like with, because a lot of women, like your abs separate. A baby was just there. So you have to really regain that strength. So I'm not a certified trainer, but I actually purchased a course from this woman who's, she does prenatal and postpartum, like info for fitness and just like healing your core. And that was really helpful because I got to like go through all of her stuff. Yeah. And she does stuff like helping with pelvic floor too, just to make sure you're like helping your muscles and body heal after like, it literally did a marathon of labor of having. So I'd be happy too. If anyone is curious about her info, I can share it, because yeah, it's really helpful like to obviously go to like an expert for stuff like that.
I think that's really important. So I think, you know, a lot of what I'm hearing is don't put yourself excuse me, don't put the same expectations on yourself that you had, during pregnancy or before pregnancy when you were able to do these, hardcore workouts and maybe really intense workouts, but really work on, if you need to get out, if you're someone who loves your fitness, go for walks, allow yourself time to rest in between, do shorter exercises, do stretching, do things that are actually going to help heal you instead of make it worse. And then you're really not going to want to do any kind of fitness if you're jumping back in too quickly and then damaging yourself, obviously.
Yeah, no, and like going on walks, that's a good one too. Yeah, we did like little walks and just getting outside.
And you love walks, so that's perfect.
Yes.
I think that's great. A lot of grace and a lot of grace for yourself, just allowing your body to heal and take its natural course. Don't try to push yourself. Don't try to put yourself in a place that you were before, because you're not in that same place. That's not a bad thing. You're in a wonderful place now. You have a baby, you have a newborn. Your body has gone through this huge process. You've gone through labor, you've birthed a baby, you've birthed a human being. Like, this is huge. You're not going to be the same person, but give yourself some grace and healing so that you can find a new me. You can be comfortable with where you are. You can ask for the grace to live your vocation. And I think all of what you're saying, Brigitte, is so helpful on a natural and supernatural level.
I just want to give 2 more like quick tips for like the this is real life. So I also, like if you're again like not being afraid to ask for help. If you need a pelvic floor specialist, they're like really great too. I didn't end up seeing one, but like I definitely would in the future if I needed to. And then also I went to the chiropractor. So like all of pregnancy, I went. So there's many chiropractors are specialized in like prenatal and postnatal. And that helped like with a little bit of lower back pain, just getting adjusted. And postpartum, I even had an adjustment like a few days after he was born, just helping my body like get back into alignment too. So
that's awesome.
Other like fitness type tips.
I mean, I have a really great contact here. So if anybody's in Florida, Dr. Jessica Mitchell is a super great chiropractor. She comes to your home. So if you're postpartum and you need an adjustment, you probably might not want to leave the house.
That's awesome.
But she will come to you. So yeah, you can reach out to me if you're in Florida and need that. And then on a more personal note, Brigitte, what was like your biggest thing that you look back? I know you had a home birth. I know that's not for everyone, but you had an amazing home birth. You have such a great story of pregnancy and postpartum healing and the actual birth itself. So what was like your thing that you look back on and you kind of grab it as like the thing that you would want to repeat and you want to share?
Yeah. Ambrose.
He's so mischievous this morning.
Yeah, very active. Yeah, so thank you for sharing. Yeah, I did do. We were very blessed that we were able to do a home birth. And what? Really? You're okay.
It's okay. I think he wants a little more attention. He's like, why is mom talking to this random girl instead of me?
Anyways, yeah, so we did do a home birth, thankfully, and I was very blessed. Like we didn't have any drugs, like during pregnancy, labor, postpartum, nothing. Like everything was totally natural. Like we don't even keep like Tylenol in our house. So we try like very hard to like not use drugs in our house. And I really attribute like my smooth pregnancy, my like good labor and postpartum healing to NRF, which it's different than supplements. So you have to like be careful. Some supplements like are such high doses that it's like too much. The body can't utilize it, right? So then you're just like spending money for it to come out like in the toilet because it's like, throwing too much into the body and it can be overtoxing and harming the body. So NRF2 activation is activating pathways in the body instead to help your body work better. So it's 5 herbs from God, but they work together synergistically to help the cells. So it's turmeric, ashwagandha, bacopa, milk thistle, and green tea. And I don't want to.
And they sound crazy. Like they're all anti-inflammatory, right?
Yeah, they help with inflammation. So the NRF2, the 5 herbs together, it's actually clinically proven to reduce that inflammation, oxidative stress in the body by 40% in 30 days. So
wow, that's huge.
It is, because we all are getting like bombarded by toxins, right? Like you can't avoid like EMFs from our phones we're using. Like you can't avoid like all the pesticides. Like you can try, and then even air pollution. Like unless you literally live in the middle of nowhere, like you cannot avoid all of these things that are bombarding and hurting our cells, right? And then you add in pregnancy, where you have like, you already have more inflammation. Now the female body is being like pushed to the max of this stress, like, and this additional like growing a baby. So we already need this because our cells are struggling. And then when you're pregnant, like, think of how many women like have such like crazy nausea or have like crazy swelling and inflammation. I didn't have any swelling, zero. I never took my rings off. Like, so many people said like, wow,
that's huge.
like, did you take your rings off? Like, I didn't have to, because the NRF2 helped me to have like less inflammation through pregnancy. And obviously every woman and every body is different, but I definitely attribute like activation, like helping my body to work at a better level for my energy and healing.
Mm-hmm. So do you mind just saying again what the actual, I'm not going to say supplement, but what do you call it?
Yes. Good job. I know you're learning. It is like a lot. It's called NRF2 Protandim, and
okay.
there are 32 studies on PubMed, so you can look it up. You can type it in and type in NRF2 Protandim and see like all the studies that doctors and scientists have done, and it's totally natural, which is cool because there's not many supplements that get that many studies. So it's cool that this herbal activator has actually got these studies from these like reputable universities like MIT, Harvard. So yeah, and
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I know like a lot of women are just, you know, we're told like we're low on iron, you know, which is another whole subject, and we're told that we need to be taking all these supplements. And I'm not saying to anyone don't take your prenatals, because I think there's, you know, there's a lot of helpful stuff in there. But if you can kind of reduce all your supplements and be taking one activation pill, is it like one a day? Is that kind of how you do it?
It's just one. And like you're saying, yes, it's true. Like, you still want to be getting like a good, you know, still want to be getting a good diet and getting good nutrients. Like, I'm not saying this is like replaces having a good diet.
It's not a magic pill.
Yeah, but it does help. So like any like nutrients or other supplements you're taking, this helps your body to more effectively take it in. So like, say you eat a meal with like fish and broccoli, it's helping you to get more of those nutrients like from that meal, if that makes sense too.
Absolutely. I think that's great, because a lot of the times I think we're battling taking extra things because our bodies are not in a good place, and so we're constantly trying to take supplements and change our diets and just add and add and add. And what this NFR2 does is it takes away. So it's instead of trying to like put good onto the bad, you're taking away the bad, because you're going to be absorbing good in your diet. You know, if you're exercising, if you're walking, if you're letting your body heal, and you know all these great tips you mentioned, bone broth and soup and working out a little bit and stuff. This is going to be amazing to be able to take something to get rid of the toxins and then start building on top.
Exactly.
Instead of building on top of an unhealthy base.
Help to detox, help with the inflammation. Yeah.
Super helpful. Was there anything else on that activation that you wanted to, you know, tell everyone?
No, that's really everything. I know I don't want to get like too crazy into the science, because you can get like so nerdy with it. But
I'm sure.
I know. If anyone is wanting more like of the studies or videos, like I would be happy to share, because there's so much information on it that you could like, you could go down so many rabbit holes just looking stuff up. But
I'm sure
to find, like, if you're wanting to like reach out or follow me or message me, sorry, Amber,
no, you're fine. We can still hear you. Amber's is just doing a thing.
So my Facebook is Brigida Cook, and then if you're listening here with Bernie, my Instagram is Traditional Catholic Voyage. And yeah, I would love to hear from you if you're pregnant, postpartum, like struggling with any of these things I talked about. I'd love to share other books or tips. And next week, Bernie's going to share the importance of like rest and sleep. Did you want to give a teaser about anything you're going to be sharing?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like sleep is such a hot topic, and I think a lot of moms in pregnancy, well, I know a lot of moms in pregnancy are kind of already thinking ahead and, you know, telling themselves how their babies are going to sleep and how they're going to put them to sleep and how they're going to sleep through the night, you know, within the first 2 weeks. And I'm going to be helping you guys have a really balanced and realistic expectation around what you can expect of a newborn sleep, what you can expect of your own sleep postpartum, and how to settle yourself into a healthy and de-stressing good routine around sleep. So that's what we're going to be talking about next week. Brigida will be with me. She has a really great sleeper, so she kind of knows like what we're talking about. But also a good sleeper, a realistic sleeper.
Oh. Well, thank you
so much
for listening, and yeah, please reach out to us about any questions. We're here to help.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing today, Brigida. It was really awesome to hear all this stuff and to learn from you and to help everybody postpartum.
Bye, Bernie.
Yeah. Have a good Thursday.